Hey guys, welcome back. It is Good King 205 here. Today I'm going to be diving into a little bit of a different topic. So, as you guys might have known, I really enjoy Maximum Football, which they released Doug Flutie's Maximum Football 2019, and Canuck Play just released a massive new announcement about Maximum Football 2020. They are pairing up with the Unity dev team to rework the entire physics engine, which is quite a big news. So, I'm a Patreon supporter for Doug Flutie's Maximum Football, so I have known about this for a couple weeks now, and this is going to be quite the improvement over last year. I mean, from what Spear told us when he first announced this to us patrons, he told us that Unity developers caught wind of this game, which was a sports game in Unity, which is not very common. And so they were kind of like, wow, there's a sports game that's actually doing quite well. Maybe we should help them out and make some new animation systems and physics systems and stuff like that. And this is going to be big because I'm just going to read what it says here. Canuck Play is working with Unity Professional Services to improve the overall game foundation of Doug Flutie's Maximum Football, which has been developed on Unity's real-time 3D development platform since 2015. This partnership also allows us to accommodate the next generation of consoles while improving the existing game performance. Example, frame rate, etc., lighting, obstacle player avoidances, game physics, as well as the replay system. Unity Professional Services is creating a custom animation system dedicated to Maximum Football. That's pretty darn impressive for a game that came out in 2019 with only 2 developers, and Unity themselves reached out to Canuck Play and said, "Hey, you guys made a pretty successful game. Why don't you let us help you rework some stuff with the engine?" And from what I have been told so far, from what I believe that this is going to be a part of Unity 2020, like this whole new animation system and stuff like that. I mean, obviously they've got a custom animation system dedicated to Maximum Football, but it is also helping Unity at the same time rework kind of their stuff, redo some of their physics engine stuff. So it's really looking like a good year this year. I'm going to be doing a lot more of these types of videos where it's going over more and more stuff as it's released to the public, because I've already got a little bit more juicy details in the background for some other updates that I'm not allowed to talk about. But as soon as those updates are released to the public, I will let you guys know. And down here in the bottom right of this, it says releasing September 2020. Just like last year's, it's coming out in 2020. And we also got some interesting news in the patron Discord. There's a developer whose name is Sean, and he's the guy that they hired into their company, who is basically taking over all of Dynasty, or franchise, as it were. And I'm just going to leave you guys on a little tease and say that franchise mode, it's looking like it's going to be a pretty darn different and a lot better experience. And I can't wait to talk more about that stuff in the future. So, yeah. So let's also dive in and express what did Maximum Football 19 do well, and what did they kind of flop on a little bit. So some things that I personally think that Maximum Football did very, very well was they brought the simulation of football to a very, very good level. And for only 2 developers, they did a very, very, very good job. For, a pretty in-depth game like the Dynasty mode, the recruiting is super in-depth, team customization is super in-depth, and I can't wait to see what they're going to change and improve and add to all those modes in this 2020 release. I'm really, really excited about that. Some other things that I think that they did really, really well were the bowl games. coming up with some really interesting, creative new names, and even some top tier patrons were included in there, like the Soden Bowl. The Soden Bowl is named for one of the top patrons for their game, which is his Discord name. Sorry, is Soden. So they called it the Soden Bowl. So that's pretty darn cool. There's even players from the patron list that are in the game, which is pretty cool. And something else that I think they did very, very well is the playbooks. Now, the art style of the playbooks obviously needs to be worked on, but the playbooks felt like college playbooks, which I thought is a very, very good thing. I am looking forward to seeing if we're going to get a bunch more new plays in this version in 2020. I assume we are. They haven't told anything to the patrons about it. But I'm really hoping that we get some new plays. Some other things that I think, or let's move on to what I think that Maximum Football could have done better. Personally, I think the offseason in Dynasty could have been a little bit more in-depth. But to be fair, two developers, we'll keep that in mind. It wasn't bad for what it was. I enjoyed it. I liked having the ability to spend a certain amount of skill points on certain attributes. You could go with a balanced approach on the off season, or you could go with the actual the non-balanced approach and focus all of your focuses on like quarterback or on the running back, etc., etc., etc. And the only other thing that I really have a gripe with is the animations. But then again, it's not a huge gripe because the animations are kind of a hindrance a little bit to the gameplay. The throwing animations feel a little off. The running animations, I honestly thought the running animations felt fine. The hit animations felt really, really solid, like you were hitting a brick wall. It was just the throwing animations. The throwing animations were kind of just rough. They didn't feel fluid. They felt kind of jagged at times. And they felt really, really long to wind up and throw. So that's my only real complaint with like the actual gameplay itself. Minus the games themselves being a little bit long. Like even at a 5-minute rule set, it feels like a long game. So I'm going to move on to some things that I would like to see in 2020. And this is specifically stuff that I personally would like to see. Number one, I would love to see a much more in-depth franchise or dynasty mode, which, from what it's sounding like, we're getting, so I'm excited. But what does a more in-depth franchise/dynasty mode mean for me? I would love to see like a coaching carousel. We're probably not going to get that in this version, but I know that somewhere down the road we're going to. I'd love to see that. Something else that I'd really love to see in a franchise/dynasty mode is athletic director mode. Kind of like what Madden does with the owner mode, but not like Madden in a way because the owner mode just kind of feels really, really basic and really stale. But do something like that, where, you're the owner or the athletic director of your school, and you can manage your stadium. You basically, you're managing the stadium. You see the fans' responses to it. You can choose to either rename the stadium, build a new stadium if you really want to, upgrade the stadium, renovate the stadium, stuff like that. I feel like that would be really, really important, as well as the coaching aspects. NHL 20, personally, I think has one of the best coaching carousels in sports games, at least from what I've played, because I haven't played FIFA or the NBA Live games or any of those games. I strictly play college football, Madden, and NHL. Those are the only games that I play. I would love to see, like, interviewing coaches to fit schemes, and I'd love to see, like, assistant coach. Like, you got your head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, sure. But I'd love to see, like, quarterback coach, running back coach, wide receiver coach, etc., etc., etc. Special teams coordinator. your training staff, your scouting staff, kind of like what NHL does, where they have the list of staff that you can hire because you've got your or you got your NHL head coach, your associate coach, your assistant coach, and your goalie coach. And you've also got a list of 20 different scouts that you can hire, and you can assign them to specific regions. Now, am I saying that this is something that I want to see in 2020? No. But I do want to see this somewhere down the road, because I feel that would be a really, really big addition to a football game, because we haven't really seen that. Like, we haven't really seen in-depth scouting since the good old days of Madden, or the good old days of the NFL 2K games. We really haven't had a very in-depth system of scouting, because we all know Madden's scouting. It's bland. You go in, you scout points. You've got 175 to 200 points a week. Cool. What does that teach me? Nothing about the player. It teaches me, here's their top 3, or here's 3 of their best stats. Sweet. I want to be able to do what the NHL does, like before draft day in the NHL game, with specifically NHL 2020. They have pre-draft interviews where you've got, like, I think 5 interviews that you can do with players in the draft, or players going into the draft, and you can ask them like 4 questions, and you can ask them a variety of questions like, how important is salary? How important is contract length? How important is the team market size? How important is locker room chemistry? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Stuff like that. I want to see that stuff sometime in a football game. I'm not saying that it has to be in 2020, because quite frankly, that'd be a lot for 3 developers to do. So I really want to see that somewhere down the road with Maximum Football, and I definitely think that we will get there at some point. Another thing that I would really, really, really love to see in the Maximum Football games is college, not college playoffs, because they already have that, but I'm trying to think of how to word this. At some point down the road, I want to see, like, better throwing animations. Just, please, if not in 2020, in 2021, please, because the throwing animations, they felt kind of sluggish at times, and it kind of irritated me a little bit, I also would like to see a fast sim, which I think has been talked about, but there's not any concrete evidence that they've released to us yet, I don't think. So it's a maybe on the fast sim. I'm okay with it, not being a fast sim or whatever. But the final thing that I would love to see is a much more in-depth off-season. Like, kind of like what the NHL games do, where you have your contracts that are coming up on expiration, where, like, you could do something where you have your seniors graduating. You could do, like, a senior graduation ceremony type thing. It doesn't have to be animated, just, like, a list of all the seniors that are going off, like what the old NCAA games did. Show who's going into the professional league. I would love to see something like that. That would be something that would be super, super cool, in my opinion, if we could get that. And then just maybe do some, like, mini games at some point down the road. Maybe do some mini games for off season, kind of like what the old Madden games did, where you had all those different mini games like score, attack, speed rush, all that stuff that you could do. I would love to see that stuff in Maximum Football. I would love to see that stuff. What else? Moving on from Dynasty Mode, because I've talked way too much on Dynasty Mode now. A career mode. I would love to see a career mode in the game. One that's super in-depth. Not the recent crap that we've had with EA and their quote-unquote face of the franchise mode. That was so bland and boring. It literally just felt like Longshot, but just redesigned. And it just felt very lackluster, in my opinion. So, Maximum Football, either next year or this year, if you really want to, a career mode. Just be able to play through your senior year of high school, be able to be scouted by teams, be able to interview with coaches, be able to do that stuff. I would love to see that stuff. I would love to be able to go into my scouting report and look at my draft rate or my scouting my stock. I'd love to look at my draft stock or my scouting stock and all that stuff and see, oh, am I a 1-star or am I a 5-star, or how interested are teams in me, and scholarship offers. I would love to see that kind of stuff in the game. That is stuff that I think Maximum Football could really, really benefit. And heck, if you really wanted to, even throw in a pro draft. After you finish your 4 years of college football, have there be a draft thing where it shows where you get drafted, and maybe you can play a season or two in the pro. Who knows? Maybe that is something that we will see someday. I would absolutely love to see that stuff in Maximum Football, either next year or years down the road, or even this year. Heck, if we could get a career mode this year for Maximum Football, it would be fantastic. I would love to see it. Anyways, that's enough rambling for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Let me know what you guys want to see for both this year, Maximum Football 2020, with Unity joining their team, and some thoughts for some suggestions for next year's game. Oh, and there's one last thing that I do want to clarify. Just because Unity is working with Maximum Football, it is still 3 developers that are working on the game itself. Unity is not working on the game itself, it's just helping improve the systems to make said game. So, without further ado, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you guys are excited about Maximum Football 2020. Maximum Football 2019 was a phenomenal entrance for them. At least in my opinion, because that was the first one that I played. I didn't play 18 or any of their other previous ones. But 19 really stuck with me, and it made me want to become a supporter for them. Please go support them. I will put the link to their Patreon down in the description, or to their Patreon. And remember to subscribe to join the King's Council. The party never ends when you're a king. I will catch you guys in the next episode, and I will keep you guys all up to date on new stuff that is announced, big and small, with Maximum Football 2020. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Catch you guys in the next episode. Peace out.